Good afternoon, YouTube. Today, I would like to speak about something that's been bothering me personally for quite some time. The theme of this video will be construction, but even more than that, it will be about the reshaping of Calgary and the undoing of Calgary as we know it. For those of you that don't know, but I hope that a few Calgarians may actually see it and be able to comment on it. There has been a radical change going on in our city ever since Nenshi was elected mayor. That's been essentially snowballing and growing into a more prominent and desperate issue that requires an address. The problem, as I see it, is this. Calgary is suffering greatly from a lack of business. Because oil, as you know, is the energy sector is dying and industry is leaving our province. That issue is notwithstanding, but what is, Nenshi seems to be unable to leave anything alone. Nenshi and the councillors that are loyal to him, essentially most of City Council with the exception of maybe 3 or 4 individuals. What I'm trying to get at is, our city was beautiful. Our city was lovely, efficient, well-designed, put together nicely. When Nenshi came in, things began to get destroyed piece by piece, first subtly and then more obvious. What we're looking at here is the 17th Avenue Southeast International Avenue, a site that used to be very, very good for small businesses. What it was, the theme of it was, the reason it's called International Avenue is because there were a lot of restaurants, let's say, and businesses from different countries all over the world. It had wonderful representation for many, many countries many citizens that come from different countries to call Canada home and build a business here. And International Avenue would be what I call the pinnacle of that achievement, because many of them dwelt alongside each other. So many cultures to choose from. It's beautiful. International Avenue represented that great interest, that wonderful intention. Here's what it is now. Original, simple, elegant, didn't have too many stoplights, it had no encumbrance for traffic, nothing. And this is what came of it. This is what Nenshi and the City Council dreamed up. Not only was it very expensive as a concept, because during the planning they of course made lots of money on the side to put into the planning, and then the implementation was even worse. It took years for this boulevard to actually become usable by cars again, before it was even usable by city transit. To me, this is an exercise in the abuse of City Hall abusing their power, destroying something that was already beautiful and good as it existed originally. And the result was great incompetence and inconvenience for people using this to commute. Among others, I have many examples. Here's a concept drawing from the 17th Avenue Southeast. What the city does is, they never think about the money as being money earned by the hard effort of other people. They think about money from the taxpayers as a piggy bank that can be smashed at will and exploited. So when they bring in an idea and they want to implement it, I'm talking about Nenshi and City Council, they never think about who's it going to cost to produce this thing, and can we do something to make it so that it's more affordable? They never say something like, we don't need this, which is what they should say, because as I told you, Calgary is in extreme dire straits right now with businesses leaving, and this bloody council doesn't do anything about that to address that issue, to make business more desirable to come here and stay here. What they do is raise the property taxes through the roof and make it unsustainable for business to remain here, so they move away. I just discovered today that some of the city workers, and I'm not trying to put anybody down, but that they possess 3 different levels of pensions. And the farther it goes up, like in terms of your yearly earnings, say you earn 160 some thousand a year, you get a 3rd pension, which is enjoyed by roughly around 2,000 city workers. Calgary, that's where your money is being wasted, in addition to these projects. The whole fiasco of City Hall is this. That's the truth. There are maybe 2 councillors that care about Calgarians in terms of fiscal responsibility. That's Jeremy Farkas and Sean Chu. Now, in time, there might be more. But the rest of them don't care how much money is wasted on expensive, useless projects such as these. I looked at this other article that I mentioned. Cost of 17th Avenue construction jumps to $52 million. 17th Avenue Southwest. This is a different area construction now. And I don't really believe the cost of this. I don't believe it for a second, because costs have... There's a certain point where there's something like white cost, where you have to account for unforeseen circumstances. And in that area, the construction work makes a lot of money. And they never talk about it because, of course, you can be very vague about the definition of white costs. But essentially, they'll give the paper something like a jump from 44 to 52 million to say, oh, yes, we were slightly under budget on our estimation and yada and so forth. But it's still an 18% increase. So that's the kind of competence that you can expect from City Hall. No competence at all. And many, many business owners suffer as a result of these radical construction projects that are nothing more than a show-off type of thing that's useless so that people can use a bus. And the amusing thing to me is that we don't even know statistically how successful these bus rapid transit is, how many people are actually utilizing it, whether it was actually worth the cost and the extreme inconvenience that was caused by its construction. Nobody knows. All that we know is we can now take a bus very, very flashy. And I might add that we also get upgrades to buses every single year. Every year we get a new model of city transit buses. More upgraded, more this, more that. So in this way, Nenshi rewards the transit that he loves so much, the bus transit. If he had been smart, that would have been an LRT no matter what. Because the amount of construction and time wasted for everybody, and destroying the entire road so you can paint and make these stupid concrete bus stops on a raised platform. I think they even had to upgrade the buses so they could accommodate for the platform. It's make work upon make work upon make work. It's like the Cubans, you have a waiter, and then they have a subservient waiter that gets you a bath towel and another waiter that gets you a drink. And I mean, if you've been to Cuba, you know it well enough. There are like 10 guys that can hold the job for a single tourist. So because they need to make money, they only make pennies and so on a day. So it's make work. And I look at it and I'm sickened because, I mean, it was so beautiful, so elegantly simple before, and so well established. I mean, business was thriving. And as far as I'm concerned, City Council does everything in their power to kill business. To kill anybody who has a dream to bring business to Calgary. Starting with high taxes. And then on top of that, incompetence from the parking control to make parking intolerable. You can be a minute late. And if you're 5 minutes late and you're in a parking zone you've been marked, the tow truck will be there to take your car away. Really, the thing that set me off is that lately, of course, City Council wants to implement the speed limit reduction to further assault people who drive a car in Calgary. If you drive a car, everybody should agree, or at least I hope they agree, that 30 kilometers an hour is a mark of stupidity and incompetence outside a scenario other than playground zones and school zones, but they're essentially in the city the same thing. Children's safety is our utmost priority. I have no doubt of that. But for like a residential road, a boulevard, and how do they call it? An overflow, I think it was. A collector road. For that, I think it's safe to say that, 50 kilometers an hour isn't all that fast. It's okay. It's acceptable. We've lived like this for decades, and as far as I can tell, there's no safety reason that would persuade me otherwise of that. Because it seems to be a healthy medium. Not too fast, not too slow. You know what I mean? But of course, Nenshi will use that as an excuse to rip everything up and change everything fundamentally, which brings me back to the original theme. Our city is dying. Our city is being changed as we know it, from the original beautiful city it was to something that's like sheer incompetence and stupidity when you really analyze it and compare it to that of the past. I look at the changes fundamentally and I say, Calgary, unless something is done and the city council gets fresh people in there that actually love the city, this kind of incompetence will go on forever. Again, I reiterate the fact that we're able to get a vote, even a vote, on the process of lowering speed limits. That's already a gift. We had to fight just to get a referendum on the Olympic bid, and then it was a very short window of opportunity as well. So I can say with confidence that the city is fundamentally changing for the worst. Business is leaving. The taxes are going to go out of control with this new city. Cops and ambulance and firefighters are being laid off because costs cannot be accounted for. You know, Jason Kenney has already cut our funding for the Green Line project, and I hope that it will discourage City Council from actually going through with it, but I suspect that they'll still go through with it and they'll borrow the money from another source. Because that's their style. They don't really care about how the money is spent or that tax dollars are coming from hard-earned Calgarians' wallets. They just want to implement their vision for the city, and they don't care whom it harms. But it is very harmful, and it's useless. It's nothing more than an extravagant display of wealth and ostentatious behavior. Calgary looks to buy dozens of slivers of private land along 17th Avenue Southeast Bus Rapid Transit. God only knows how much we actually spent on this boulevard for nonsense. It's completely incompetent, and it's stupid. Stupid, stupid, stupid. I cannot summarize it any other way. Businesses suffered greatly as a result. Take this lady here. I have the article right here. I showed it in a previous video. It more than irks business owners. It literally kills their business by blocking access, and you can see it here. And it was far worse. There were actually concrete barricades built to block ingress and egress on roads that would lead to those businesses. There was side roads that existed that would allow you to get off the main and actually enjoy the businesses without encumbrance. Restaurants, hairstylists, anything, any business that you could think of dwell on that boulevard. So many unique cultures, unique perspectives, and lovely people that just want to build something, and City Council won't let them do it and actually stop them with this construction project. With one construction project, they were able to destroy so many people. And when I say destroy people, I mean their livelihoods. How many people got laid off? How many businesses were forced to scale back or move away from their establishment that they've been there for probably 20 years or more? Nobody talks about it. But really, it angers me deeply when I look closer at the costs. I heard that a particular 17th Avenue Southeast Boulevard project actually cost something like $390 million. Actually, not 52. But that might have been just a rumor. I hope it's not true. I look here. I have some collection of construction projects that really... This one is on 14th Street Southwest. As you can see, there's a bus lane, a ostentatious bus stop here. But that was only a taste of the problem. What I heard was that 14th Street actually got physically blocked. And if you live in Palace or Pump Hill and you need access, you can't get it because 14th Street is actually the only way in or out. Right? If you block Southland and Anderson, you're trapped. So it's like a counselor of ours, he actually told us that it was blocked because he lived in that area and he physically couldn't get out. It was, I think, an hour and 45 minutes by bus or something on a regular day, but during that time it was actually blocked, so he couldn't even get to work unless you take a bicycle. Of course, that's the answer. I got nothing against bicycles. There's nothing wrong with riding a bike during the summertime when it's safe, but for me in winter, it's very impractical. I took you here on a short trip through what was an access from Sarcee Trail. I suspect they're building the ring road here, or part of the ring road, because there was a great deal of interchanges going on in one area. It was just unbelievable. And I mean, this isn't even a road that has, it doesn't even exist yet, and yet they're building a bridge for it. So, as I say, poor execution, poorly conceived. There's a lot of extras here that we don't need. And, you know, there's so much excess land that needs to be purchased by the city for these construction projects to go ahead. Just so they can build it, so they have room to build it. And God knows how much more money that costs. Right? This is already getting on Glenmore, and this is the existing bridge. The one that we just passed is the new bridge. Here's all the construction going on the side. There's nobody moving there. It's just equipment sitting idle. And I thought I'd remind you. Not to mention that the speed limit has already been decreased by 20 kilometers an hour for the construction zone, of course. But I believe that, like all the other construction zones, that will remain permanently lowered. Council is doing nothing, with the exception of Farkas and maybe Chew, but mostly Farkas, is doing nothing to address the incompetence they've caused for people that drive a car. Nothing. It's nonsense. If anything, they're making it worse and worse and worse, and becoming more ambitious and more wasteful with every single opportunity. They say, okay, we've done this, now we can make it even more crazy and ambitious and more crazy. It's nuts. To me, it's not only useless, but it's extremely wasteful. Imagine having a new bus every year, the latest model. I look at them, I'm very good on that kind of thing. I can tell you that a bus has been upgraded from a 2015 to a 2016 to a 2018 to a 2019 model. They have certain attributes that make them easy to spot, more technology, newer stuff, newer this. I doubt they've been retrofitted. No, I believe they actually go out and purchase a brand new bus. So, on the very least, construction and city transit is receiving gold like nobody's business. And if you want to study the intent of City Hall, simply look to their pensions, their, triple pensions that they're getting. The more money they make, the more pension they get. And that's 100% paid by taxpayers in Calgary. Thank you very much for your time and your attention. Bye-bye.